Welcome to our next drawing assignment for Intro to Art. We are going to be exploring something called linear perspective, which is an innovation that artists created during the Renaissance to help them draw things like buildings and architecture convincingly, to make it look like these things are going back into space. And as the name suggests, linear perspective uses straight lines to accomplish this illusion. We're going to use straight lines going to a vanishing point to make it seem like we're drawing three-dimensional objects. And again, this is usually used with squarish or rectangular sort of things, like buildings or maybe even cars or boxes, that sort of thing. Now, for this drawing, you're going to need just some basic supplies that you've already used. You'll need paper, you'll need a pencil, an eraser, as well as a ruler or straight edge. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to experiment with something called one-point perspective. And one-point perspective happens when you are looking at a flat side of something. So in this case, it's a cardboard box that's been painted white. So here we are looking at the flat side of it. We're not looking at the corner, but just straight on. And the same scenario would be if you're looking at the side of a building or if you're inside a room and looking at just a flat wall. So that's what we're going to draw first of all. So getting our ruler and pencil, first thing we're going to do is draw a horizon line. So that's just going to be a horizontal line going across the paper. I'm going to label that HL. And the horizon line is actually an artificial construct. Normally when we're outside, we think of the horizon as being the place where the sky and the land meet. But in terms of linear perspective, the horizon line is actually in existence even if you're inside a building. It simply represents the place where eye level occurs. So I might even draw a little eye right here to remind us that the horizon line is always at eye level. Now for one-point perspective, we are going to start off drawing the flat side of a box or building, that sort of thing. And you can use your ruler to draw it. I'm just going to draw it freehand. So here we go. See if I can do a decent job of this. So here is the side of my box that I'm going to draw. I chose to draw it below the horizon line. You could draw it above the horizon line if you wanted. Okay, and the next thing we need to do, since this is one-point perspective, we are going to create something called a vanishing point. And this is a place on the horizon line where all of our angled perspective lines are going to converge. So you'll need to choose some place kind of close to your box here on the horizon line. I'm going to put mine right there and call that VP. That is going to be our vanishing point in this one-point perspective situation. Now, be sure to keep your vanishing point close to your box. You could put it like here or here or here. Don't put it way out here. That's going to look funky. So in order to create a one-point perspective situation, I'm going to extend some lines from the corners of my box to this vanishing point. So there's one, and here is another, and here is a third. So the three visible corners of my box are going to the vanishing point. Now, it's pretty simple to finish up this drawing. I need to create a vertical line and a horizontal line to represent the back of the box. So here I go. I'm going to create a vertical line. I'm going to make it parallel to this initial vertical line that I made. And then I'm going to create a horizontal line, trying to make that parallel to the horizon. Okay? And then I'm going to go in with an eraser. You might use your pencil eraser. This is called a kneaded eraser, a special kind of eraser that artists use. And I'm going to erase these perspective lines. And voila, I am left with a three-dimensional looking box in one-point perspective. So you could even shade the side of this box to kind of separate out its faces a little more. All right, this is one-point perspective, and this is actually used by Leonardo da Vinci in The Last Supper. We're inside a room. We're looking at Christ and his disciples, and the vanishing point is right on Christ's head. Let's talk about the second perspective scenario. That's called two-point perspective. And I'm going to get my box to demonstrate it. Two-point perspective occurs when you are looking at the corner edge of something, so not a flat face, but we have rotated our object around, and you're looking at a corner edge, okay? What that's going to do is create two vanishing points, one on each side of this vertical edge. So let's do a drawing of that as well. So we'll need a second horizon line on our paper here. I'm going to draw that below my first. Label that HL. And I am simply going to draw a vertical line below the horizon line. Again, you can use your ruler. If you're awesome, you can freehand it. There we go. There's my vertical line. This is going to represent the edge of a building or a box, that sort of thing. I'm going to create two vanishing points. Again, this is two-point perspective. And I'm going to create one vanishing point, VP1, over here, another VP2 over here. And it's important to remember that vanishing points are always on the horizon line. They're always sitting on it. Once I have done that, I'm going to create some perspective lines stretching from the bottom and top of my corner edge here. And they are going to run to each vanishing point. So here I've started at the bottom and created my perspective lines to each vanishing point. I'm going to do the same thing from the top. Here we go. And here we are, like so. Now, we're going to do some similar things to what we did with our one-point perspective box in creating the back edges. So I'm going to create a vertical here, making it parallel to my initial line, and another vertical here, like so. And now, here's the part, make sure you pay attention to this. I'm going to connect this point to that vanishing point, and this point to that vanishing point. So here we go. This is going to create the missing back edges of our box. Here's one. And here is the second. So now we have, you can see a three-dimensional box here between two vanishing points. You can take your eraser and get rid of the perspective lines to make this look really nice and clean. That you can go back in and darken some of these outlines if you want. And again, you can shade one side of a box just to distinguish it from the other sides. By the way, linear perspective can be used to make shadows too. You can use different sort of calculations to do things like shadows and fence posts and breaking things up in any way you might want to break something up. So there we go. And there is a two-point perspective box. All right, that wraps up our linear perspective drawing activity. This can be used for almost anything. If you want to draw any sort of squarish, man-made object, linear perspective works great for that. Go ahead, finish your drawing, and scan or photograph your drawing and submit it to your e-sketchbook.